In the late 1970s and early 1980s, the drug game in Baltimore answered to one man, Maurice "Peanut" King. And according to reports, he was the man in more ways than one. His name has gone down in infamy in Baltimore as one of the baddest, boldest, smoothest, and most blatant to ever do it. He dressed stylish like a pimp, pumped heroin like the French Connection, and played the game the way it was meant to be played. Portraying himself as a big-time gambler who frequented Atlantic City and won millions, Peanut King had the style, flash, class, and substance to set himself apart from other dealers of the era. And more importantly, he also had a vicious team behind him. One that would put in the necessary work to keep Peanut on the winning side. The Peanut King crew was well known up and down the East Coast as one of the most notorious crews in Baltimore. And in the streets of Charm City, Peanut was the recognized shot caller. According to reports, Peanut was making $25 million a year during his reign. And according to reports, Peanut was putting 7 to 10% pure on the streets. Investigators alleged that he had a better cut on the heroin. They'd be coming from D.C., Virginia, all over, to get the best bang for their buck. While most of the other dealers only put out 3% of pure in that era. So the heroin that Peanut's crew put out was of a higher quality. And with the better product in town, Peanut was able to corner the market pretty quickly. Investigators alleged that the Peanut King crew sold a lot of heroin, and they broke it down into $60 and $70 bags. The feds estimated his crew made $5 million a year through their drug business. And the money was too big to be ignored. Peanut possessed an exoticness that was unique in the ghetto. He drove a DeLorean, which was unheard of in the city of Baltimore. He brought that exotic type shit into style. And despite many dudes bidding his style, Peanut was the original. He had a huge house in Silver Spring, Maryland. It said the house had no windows, just surveillance cameras on all angles of the house. At his peak, King headed a $50 million a year heroin ring, running it from an executive boardroom with computers to keep track of all the money. And by 1981, Peanut took over the city of Baltimore. He bought some shops and had some clubs on the main strip. He had some clothing stores he used for fronts. He laundered all his money through businesses. He bailed people out through his bail bonds to clean money. And according to investigators, by 1982, Peanut was so much more than a gangster. He saw the big picture and took it all in, by incorporating all aspects under his control. He was instrumental in the youth basketball leagues as well, sponsoring teams and tournaments. His grassroots efforts led to the development of players like Sam Cassell, Carmelo Anthony, and Rudy Gay, who all made it to the NBA from inner-city Baltimore. But towards the end of 1982, the news from the television reported that the FBI had a warrant for the arrest of Maurice "Peanut" King, and named him one of the biggest kingpins of the heroin trade in Baltimore history. And according to reports, during the course of the investigations, the police locked up Peanut's mother and told him he needed to stand up and be a big man to get her released. And by 1983, Maurice "Peanut" King was arrested and charged with various narcotics and conspiracy charges. During the trial, King's defense was that he made a substantial amount of money gambling throughout the late 70s and early 80s and later invested in the 2 grocery stores and various other business ventures. But the jury didn't buy it. Peanut King and his other co-defendants were found guilty and convicted of a variety of substantive narcotics possession and distribution offenses. They was also found guilty of engaging in a conspiracy to possess and distribute narcotics and heading a continual criminal enterprise. Maurice "Peanut" King received 50 years in federal prison with no chance of parole because of the RICO Act, and his property and businesses were seized. He also got 10 years in Maryland for all the guns seized in the investigation. Following a second trial in 1986, Peanut and his crew were again convicted after the circuit court ordered a new trial because of prejudicial error with regard to jury selection. But Peanut and his crew couldn't get any play. In 1987, for years into his 10-year bid for the state, Peanut hooked up with a Pakistani who claimed to have a connect for high-grade heroin. But what Peanut didn't know was that this Pakistani was an informant for the feds. The informant set Peanut up, and he received an additional 8 years on top of the 50-year federal sentence he had to serve following the 10 he was serving for the state. This brought his total sentence to 68 years without the possibility of parole. However, in February of 2019, Maurice Peanut King was released after serving 36 years in federal prison. He plans on forming a nonprofit to help young men in Baltimore and steer them away from drug dealing and other crimes. Now, as always, we would like to know what you think about this video down below in the comment section. Also, don't forget to like the video, share the video, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Until next time, peace.